The Commission on Elections launched the Kontra Bigay committee to intensify its crackdown on vote buying and vote selling ahead of the 2025 midterm elections. The newly launched committee will be permanent and a fortified version of Kontra Bigay, which initially operated as a task force during the 2022 elections. Under the expanded Kontra Bigay, law enforcers, including the Philippine National Police, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the National Bureau of Investigation, can conduct surveillance and validate information, reports, or complaints related to vote buying, vote selling, or acts of abuse of state resources. Vote buying and vote selling is the modern cancer of democracy. It corrupts the will of the voters and dilutes the mandate of the elected leaders. Section 261 para A of BP bilang 881 penalizes the act of vote buying and vote selling, while Section 28 RA number 6646 outlines the rules for prosecuting vote buying and vote selling under BP bilang 881, specifying that complaints supported by affidavits can trigger an investigation by the COMELEC. The expanded Kontra Bigay Committee, strengthened from its 2002 task force version, integrates guidelines against vote buying, vote selling, and abuse of state resources for the 2025 and future elections. It empowers law enforcers, including the PNP, AFP, and NBI, to conduct surveillance and validate related reports or complaints. COMELEC's Kontra Bigay 2.0 is a standing and permanent committee under a whole-of-nation approach, dedicated to attacking the modern cancer of democracy. Pre-election activities include voter education through tri-media platforms, seminars, symposia, and integration into the DepEd curriculum to promote informed and responsible voting. During the election, efforts focus on arresting violators, building cases, and identifying badges or presumptions of vote buying and vote selling to ensure accountability and compliance with electoral laws. Post-election efforts involve disseminating information, sustaining the interest of witnesses, and ensuring their protection to support ongoing investigations and uphold the integrity of the electoral process. Section 14 of COMELEC Resolution No. 11104 provides the duties and functions of the PNP, deputized to perform the following: A. Assist the Commission in its information campaign against vote buying and vote selling, and ASR in elections. B. Identify, report, and take the necessary and appropriate action against unusual or suspicious transactions that may indicate vote buying and vote selling, and ASR in elections, or other modus operandi schemes being carried out. C. Carry out case build-up by gathering evidence that may aid in the prosecution or arrest of suspected individuals who commit the election offenses of vote buying and vote selling, and acts constituting ASR in elections. D. Assist the Commission and other prosecuting arms of the government in the investigation and prosecution of vote buying and vote selling, and ASR in elections, by providing and preserving evidence related to the reported incidents of these election offenses. A. Implement and conduct education information drive for all its personnel on the identification of vote buying and vote selling, and acts constituting ASR in elections, including techniques and manner of gathering evidence. F. Deploy its personnel for monitoring and investigation of incidents of vote buying and vote selling, and ASR in elections. G. Ensure the security and safety of complainants and witnesses to the election offenses of vote buying and vote selling, and acts constituting ASR in elections. H. Arrest a person when, in his or her presence, the person to be arrested has committed, is actually committing, or is attempting to commit the election offense of vote buying and vote selling, and acts constituting ASR in elections as defined herein. I. Render any other assistance that may be necessary for the enforcement of the provisions of the OEC on vote buying and vote selling, and acts constituting ASR in elections. What is vote buying and vote selling? Vote buying is the act of someone who gives, offers, or promises money or anything of value. Those who gives or promises any office or employment, franchise or grant, public or private. Those who makes or offers to make an expenditure, directly or indirectly. And those who cause an expenditure to be made to any person, association, corporation, entity, or community. the purpose of which is to induce anyone or the public in general to vote for or against any candidate or withhold his vote in the election. Anyone found guilty of an election offense under this code faces 1 to 6 years of imprisonment without probation, disqualification from public office, and loss of voting rights. Foreign offenders face deportation after serving their sentence. Political parties found guilty will be fined at least 10,000 pesos after their officials are convicted in a criminal case. Other forms, acts of vote buying and vote selling. What are presumed acts of vote buying and vote selling? Isa. Distribution of money or goods, giving or delivering cash, groceries, health cards, or other items of value alongside campaign materials to influence votes. 2. Promises in exchange for votes, offering benefits in return for a person's vote. 3. Crowd gathering tactics, long queues of registered voters receiving money or goods intended to sway their votes. 4. House-to-house campaigns with giveaways distributing money, discounts, or goods to households to influence voting choices. 5. Games at entertainment with prizes, holding bingo games, talent shows, or similar activities with rewards linked to candidates. 6. Transporting large sums of cash, carrying over 500,000 pesos in cash near election day with campaign-related evidence. 7. Breaking large denominations, splitting large amounts into smaller bills close to election day. 8. Medical missions at aid programs, conducting free medical, legal, or feeding programs where candidates' names or images are displayed. 9. Distribution of assistance or ayuda, giving financial or material aid near elections, especially if the candidate's name is visible. 10. Exceeding the allowed number of poll watchers, assigning more than 2 watchers per precinct. 11. Possession of indelible ink removers, holding chemicals like acetone to erase election ink. 12. Possession of blank ballots, having unused official ballots without authorization. During election period, the following are acts constituting suspicious transactions of vote buying and vote selling. Unusual transaction flow between accounts, digital banking, and digital wallets, unusual large cash withdrawals exceeding 500,000 pesos, encashment of checks, and no underlying legal or trade obligation, purpose or economic justification, or the amount involved is not commensurate with the business or financial profile of the client. Money ban. To prevent vote buying and selling, the COMELEC will impose a money ban that prohibits carrying, possessing, and transporting 500,000 pesos or more cash 2 days before and on the day of the national and local election. Workers and individuals with legitimate backgrounds, such as business persons and disbursement officials or cashiers, will be exempted from the money ban. Total ban on distribution of ayuda and other assistance. During the campaign period, the day before elections, and on election day, it is prohibited to give, distribute, or receive any form of assistance or ayuda. Surveillance and validation by the AFP, PNP, NBI and other law enforcement agencies. The PNP may conduct surveillance and validate reports of presumed vote buying and vote selling under Section 25. If there is reasonable belief the offense has been, is being, or is about to be committed, the PNP can make warrantless arrests and searches, following existing laws, rules, and PNP procedures. Warrantless arrests for vote buying and vote selling. Law enforcement officers may arrest without a warrant anyone caught committing, having committed, or attempting to commit vote buying or vote selling in their presence. The arrested individual must immediately be brought to the nearest police station or jail and handled according to Section 7, Rule 112 of the Revised Rules on Criminal Procedure. Law enforcement officers must immediately seize money, goods, sample ballots, or campaign materials used for vote buying, vote selling, or ASR. The law enforcement officer must inventory, photograph, and properly mark seized items at the arrest site or the nearest police station or jail, in the presence of the arrested person and any nearby witnesses, who must sign the inventory. The movement and custody of seized items, from confiscation to safekeeping and submission as court evidence, must be properly documented following existing laws, rules, and the standard procedures of the PNP and other law enforcement agencies. Liability in case of abuse. Any arresting officer from the AFP, PNP, NBI, or other law enforcement agencies, or commission personnel, who abuses these rules or grants undue benefits to a candidate or political party, will face administrative and criminal liability under existing laws and regulations. Witness protection. Anyone with personal knowledge of vote buying or vote selling may be eligible for the Witness Protection Program, following existing laws and regulations. Prosecution of election offenses. The giver, offerer, promisor, solicitor, acceptor, recipient, and conspirator involved in vote buying or vote selling are liable as principals. However, individuals guilty of these acts may be exempt from prosecution and punishment if they voluntarily provide information and testify in official investigations or proceedings, except for perjury or false testimony. Complaints for vote buying, vote selling, or acts constituting ASR may be initiated by the Commission motu proprio or through a written complaint by any Filipino citizen, political party, or accredited citizens, arm of the Commission. Custody of evidence by the investigating officer. The investigating officer must conduct a physical inventory of seized items in warrantless arrests or object evidence attached to complaints, ensuring the chain of custody is recorded. For money, serial numbers must be documented. Take photographs of the object evidence. Keep a signed record of all object evidence received, including the date of receipt. Properly deposit the object evidence with the Commission's designated custodian. Procedure for handling of a child in conflict with the law. A person under 18 years old accused of vote buying or vote selling will be handled in accordance with Republic Act No. 9344, as amended by Republic Act No. 10630, and other relevant laws and regulations.